Hi, and welcome to Shepherd Scope's How to Center Your Scope video. Shepherd Scope has an avid interest in making sure everyone understands how to optimize the use of their new Shepherd dual reticle system scope. This is a video for centering the Shepherd DRS scope series. In this video, we're going to explain how to reset your scope to factory conditions, how to recenter both reticles in the middle of your tube, and how to ensure your scope is centered before mounting it on a rifle. It's very important that the reticle system is centered inside the tube of the scope before you mount it on your rifle. This ensures that the entire optical assembly is in straight alignment so that as you align the outside of the scope to your rifle barrel, the optical assembly is also aligned to your rifle barrel. Now, I would like to remind everyone that it is very important with dual reticle scopes to do a good job mounting your scope to your rifle. Take your time. This isn't a simple single reticle scope. This is a precision instrument. It really matters how well you mount it to your rifle. That being said, let's talk about centering your scope. Every few years, you should recenter your scope, let's say every 5 or 10 years. Small adjustments over time from bullet changes can push your optical assembly one way or another or in opposing directions inside your scope. So if you can imagine the reticle system is a scope within the scope, and you want to make sure that that's evenly centered in the middle of the tube so that you maintain equal travel distance both up and down for elevation, left and right for windage. So what we've done here is we've taken a scope in the Shepherd lab and we have purposefully thrown it out of center. And together we will go through how recentering the scope. Recentering the scope takes approximately 2.5 minutes. Once you get good at it, it will take less time. That being said, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start with elevation. Elevation is the large and small turrets on top of the scope. The left side of the scope has no turrets on it. Elevation is on the top, windage is on your right. So I'm going to start with the large turret, and what I'm going to do is determine what my travel distance is for elevation on both sides of zero. If you look on the right side of the screen, you'll see hash marks. Right now, I have the thick crosshair coming across the zero of the hash marks to the right. And as I'm going to start turning it, I'm going to bring the circle stadia up, and you're going to see that now I'm passing 5, I'm passing 10, I'm passing 15, I'm passing 20, 25, 30, and you're going to see that I'm actually going off of the hash marks. And here I'm going to have to estimate how far off the hash marks I am. I am going to say that I am at around 34. So I want to remember that number, that I am 34 negative, below zero on my elevation. Now I'm going to turn it completely the other way until it stops. Don't overturn it, just until it stops. And I'm going to see that I am stopping at +7. So I know that 34 and 7 is approximately 41. So I want to divide that number in half. That's my total travel distance right now. And so I want to be somewhere around 20.5 on both sides of zero, because that's half of the total travel distance that I just went. So I'm going to go back to my original first measurement, which was 34. And now I'm going to move to the small elevation turret. That's the small knob behind the large elevation turret that we were just turning. And I'm going to turn that until I bring myself back to about 21. Now there I'm at 21. I feel good about my adjustment. I'm going to go back to the large elevation turret now, and I'm going to take it all the way the other way to see if I have evened out the sides. And I have. I'm at 20.5 and 21. That's pretty well centered for elevation up and down. I'm going to return elevation to the zero position. I have now recentered the scope for elevation. Now we need to do the same thing for windage. And it's important to do one and then the other. So we're going to move to windage now. The large turret on the right side of the scope is what we're going to use to determine our travel distance on both sides of 0. I'm going to start, and I'm going to find that on one side of 0, I am getting to 17 to the left of 0. And now I'm going to turn it back completely the other way. And I'm going to find that I am getting to what looks like 26.5. So as before with elevation, I'm going to go back to my original starting point. I know that I was at 26.5. So again, I'm at 41. I'm going to go back to my small elevation knob behind the large turret, and I'm going to turn this until I get to approximately 21. Now that I see that I'm at 21, I'm going to go back to the large windage turret, and I'm going to turn it completely to the other direction, and I'm going to test my travel distance. And I find that I'm at 22 to the right, and I'm at 21.5 to the left, so that's pretty well centered. I am going to bring windage back to 0. Now the scope is at factory settings. The windage and elevation turret assemblies and the reticles are now exactly centered in the middle of the scope. And what that means is everything inside the scope is aligned. So as you now move to putting your scope on your rifle and bore sighting it in, you will know that the inside of the scope is aligned perfectly with the outside of the scope. So I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for purchasing a Shepherd scope, and good hunting.